Pregame.tv, college football. I am the NFL expert. I'm going to let these two guys duke it out on this game. Of course, huge revenge here for the Crimson Tide of Alabama. They got caught napping a little bit. They lost at home. Now the rematch. Saban's been very good in these. We last look at the lines, open 7, up to 8.5. Money on A&M, back down to 7.5. And Alabama, we all expect them to win this game. Are they going to be able to go ahead and cover it? Let's start. This is Bryan Leonard's play. Bryan Leonard, you have a strong opinion, free play on this game.
Yeah, this is going to be my anti-Bryan Leonard play because normally I don't play the top teams, and if I do, I'm usually trying to find ways to go against them. But I can't go against Alabama here. Last year's game, Texas A&M first year in the SEC, they didn't know him very well, didn't have a chance to prepare for him very well. And I got to admit, Texas A&M really played well against them. 23 first downs from the Aggies last year. You got to go back a decade to see Alabama give up those kind of numbers. And Alabama has a problem with mobile quarterbacks. It's interesting because the way they recruit the big guys, recruit very good athletes, and the coaching staff drills into them. It's like a drill sergeant. You are here, you're supposed to be here, and you see certain teams that have just the athletes, like a Florida State, has the type of athletes that can just go all over the field, play great defense. The Alabama players have basically been trained to stay in your lane, don't leave your lane. And that's why they really struggle against mobile quarterbacks. So I think A&M's can put some points on the board here. But I went back and I looked over the last 2 years. A&M's had a very good team the last 2 years. Go back and look at them the last 2 years playing at home, 1-5 straight up when they're laying 10 points or less. They lost straight up to Florida, LSU, Texas, Missouri, Oklahoma State. The one victory, a blowout win over Baylor. But in those games, 5 of those 6 games, they were actually favored, lost straight up at home. Alabama's a team, 4 of the last 5 years, they've gone undefeated on the road in true road games. I'm hoping to get this down to 7 before I bet it myself, but I like Alabama.
Do you like Alabama despite that series history with what you said?
Well, I think that Texas A&M is going to put some points on the board. Mm-hmm. But now that they have the film on them and they saw them last year, they're going to be able to beat them. And you know, what is he, 8-4 against the spread?
The revenge is really the key here, right? That the fact is that, like, all these teams that Alabama has struggled with in the past, usually it's like, well, they just played LSU and A&M's off a bye or off a Cupcake State. And here's the spot where it's Alabama that's off the bye against a team that they really, really are angry against. But it's interesting because you think Alabama is because they've had a winning record against the spread the past 5 years. But then again, most of those winning records are like 7-6 VR. You think maybe this is not the game that they're going to be able to put a W.
Yeah. Here's the thing. As much as handicapping the game and looking at the line and reading the market and all the revenge factor and Alabama being Alabama and Saban being Saban and having an extra week to prepare, everything points to Alabama, but it's one of those spots that something just tells me that Texas A&M has been waiting for this game as well. They did not get the credit for beating Alabama. Alabama went on and won.
That was a legitimate win.
It was, but they didn't get the credit. Alabama went on and won a national championship and was crowned the best team in football, the best team in maybe ever in college football of all time, that team last season. And Texas A&M didn't get any respect. They might have celebrated for a day, a couple days a week.
Well, they got paid handsomely for their efforts.
Right, but I'm saying they didn't get the credit they deserved for that game. So I think they're coming in with a chip on their shoulder, and I think they're the team that has something to prove, that they do belong. They belong in the SEC, and they can play with Alabama. And because of that, when you give me a dog that's going to give me 60 minutes of effort, and they're playing at home, and I'm catching over a touchdown, that's the only way I could look. This is Alabama, and that's the only thing that scares me, because it is Alabama, and we saw what they did to Notre Dame. We know how dominant they can be. But at the end of the day, what I look for in a dog is a team that has the ability to win straight up, which Texas A&M does. They're at home, and they beat Alabama already. And a team that's going to give me 60 minutes of effort, because that always leaves the back door open if I'm getting points. And Texas A&M fits that mold, both of them. So for me, I can't do it. Even though I know how dominant Alabama is, I can't go ahead and lay over a touchdown.
Very good. And Bryan, you're
I might just watch this game.
What's interesting is but you would love to lay 7 and not 7.5, right?
Obviously, well, the line's coming down a little bit, so I'm not going to bet until I get to 7.
That's going to be the buy price, right? That
Yep.
as soon as I don't think it's just you. I think everyone's like, if I can lay that 7.
Yeah.
Golden Nugget games of the year, this game was lined at 6. So now you could argue, okay, all the distractions with Johnny football may be worth the point. VR, let me ask you before Bryan makes this official, how concerned are you? I know 6 defensive guys were out on defense, but the Rice Cakes just moved the ball on the ground at will against
all
this
over
defense.
them, all over. I like that.
I like that.
I like if they would have went out there and dominated Rice, I'd have been all over Alabama. But that to me tells me where their mind was. It was on Alabama. That's what I went back and looked. How did they do against Rice? And for Rice to rack up all those yards, those players might, and like you said, suspensions, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, those backups should be better than Rice. And still, that shows me their mind is on Alabama. And at the end of the day, I watched Virginia Tech play Alabama, and Texas A&M's a lot better than Virginia Tech. They're not going to have that easy of an afternoon. And they didn't impress me all that much against Virginia Tech. They really didn't.
Very good. One thing, people at home playing the drinking game, the VR drinking game, of course, got in the first shot with the sprinkle and the prior video. But here's the thing. They're waiting for here's the thing. Go ahead and say it.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
Say here's the thing.
Here's the thing.
There you go. Okay.
Here's the thing.
It's gotten back to me that apparently in our videos that when I say focus, they take a drink, and when you say here's the thing, they take a drink. And Bryan, when you just say anything, they have a drink.
They're just drinking. They're just doing shots.
I don't drink much when I have anything to say with you two around.
They're just doing shots.
Well, let me ask you before you make this official. They got a shirt there. This is the Akron Heroes. What is this?
Akron Arrows, Cleveland
Arrows?
AA. When I was back in Cleveland, got to throw out the first pitch. I don't know if they recognized me. I went to Akron U, so I don't know. But yeah, it was cool. It's not Wrigley Field, but it was cool.
You got to throw out the first pitch?
Late breaking action, but I believe it was called a strike.
All right.
You were honored to throw the first pitch?
I was honored to throw out the first pitch.
Absolutely.
Wow, there's probably some Akron Zip grad that is working for NASA. That's like, what the hey?
What the hell happened here?
Let's go ahead and make this official.
All right, I'm going to lay the points here with Alabama. VR makes a lot of great points when it comes to Texas A&M's offense, and I actually think Texas A&M is going to put some points on the board here. In fact, the better play may be to play Alabama points over, because I don't like this A&M defense. We're kind of making light of Rice. Rice is a pretty good offensive team, and they were able to move the ball pretty well on A&M. I think now that Alabama knows what to expect, we're going to get a good effort out of Alabama, and Alabama's one of those teams where a lot of times they take the lead, grind out the profit as the game goes on, grind down the clock. That's not going to happen here. This is a major game. They got a chance to run it up. They're going to run it up. I like Alabama points over, but for this video, we're going to use Alabama minus the 7.5. No need to jump on the ship right now at 7.5. Wait for it to get down to 7, and we'll play Alabama.
Jump on the ship. Is there that many navigable waterways in Tuscaloosa? I'm unfamiliar with the city.
You're not going to badmouth another city, are you?
No, I love Tuscaloosa, and like Saban, the fact that Texas is offering them $30 million. They're
going to lose
to
to
go
LSU
to a great town like Austin.
See how good LSU looks?
Yeah, you gave that out before.
They're going to lose to LSU anyway.
They only play a 2-game schedule. I think they're going to be prepping for LSU for like 2 months after they find a way to win this game.
Yeah, they are.
Well, you guys are going to have a side bet on this one, right? Because you're on opposite sides.
Well, it's interesting when you talk about side bets. We already know it's well known. Steve Fezzik does not pay his dinner bets. I think it's proven because there's a line out the door. Now, I never bet VR. In fact, we should do pizza bets. He paid his pizza bets.
Right.
He is an honorable person when it comes to pizza bets.
Thank you.
There's a guy that's like infuriated with me named Boozin' and Losing out there at boozinandlosing.com, and I feel bad because I owe him dinner. I know he's really, really struggling, and like he can't have a nice dinner. And hey, contact me. I will get to. I don't know what the bet.
What about the rest of us that have been waiting in line for these?
I just took Alf Musket out to a fine dinner. I will have you know at Twin Peaks.
Well, you had me impressed until that last part.
He picked it.
He wanted to see the girl.
I said, "Where do you want to go?" I didn't
gotta
see
give
it.
credit
I didn't.
for that.
No, the place in like the Silverton with the aquarium, not the
Oh,
not the
I thought
Hooter.
the one with the chick.
Oh, no, I'd rather go to the
Focus. Focus.
Yeah.
See what I deal with here, people? Let's get back on track. Focus. NFL, Cleveland Browns, Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens stole their team, and the Browns respond every time, every year, by laying an egg in this game. That's why they're the Cleveland Browns. We'll be breaking that down. We have a play on this one. Stay with us, pregame.tv.
I love week 2.